Futurism. Scientists built an AI to give ethical advice, but it turned out super racist. The bot is supposed to offer descriptive ethical advice, but some say it does more harm than good. So we got this article here today that I saw on Twitter, X, whatever you want to call it. The thing is, it's from 2021, it looks like. October of 2021, so it's 3 years old. But, I thought this is exactly something I need to talk about on my channel. That, AI is all woke. We see this happening repeatedly with AI, that it makes decisions on qualities that we would consider superficial qualities that we would not want to make decisions about or consider when we're making decisions in today's socio-political climate. Now, before we dive into this article, please remember to like, comment, share, and subscribe. Make sure that you're still subscribed because YouTube does unsubscribe people. You can find me on Rumble and Twitter. Let's get in here. We've all been in situations where we had to make tough ethical decisions. Why not dodge that pesky responsibility by outsourcing the choice to a machine learning algorithm? Because machines don't know morality. Machines, I'm going to say, are going to be terribly bad at morality. Human beings are terribly bad at determining what is moral and what is immoral. A lot of human beings, in my experience, most human beings are sheep when it comes to morality. I was told it's bad to do this, therefore I don't do it. Okay, why don't you question that? Are you doing something that is harming others? Even just slightly, even if it's ever so slightly. And what is the benefit of you doing that thing? Okay, if you want to get into the controversial subject matter, we could, talk about the pollution in our atmosphere. Driving a car pollutes the atmosphere. But we're kind of stuck. This is an ethical dilemma. We're kind of stuck. We are dependent on the car in most of the modern Western world. It's dependent on the car. What are you going to do? Not drive? Anyway, let's get back into this article here. That's the idea behind Ask Delphi, a machine learning model from the Allen Institute for AI. You type in a situation like donating to charity, or a question, is it okay to cheat on my spouse? Click ponder, and in a few seconds, Delphi will give you ethical guidance. It will give me I don't think so. Let's see. We've got a Delphi speculates. Is it okay to eat at a restaurant and then leave without paying? It's wrong. Okay. The project launched last week and has subsequently gone viral online for seemingly all the wrong reasons. Much of the advice and judgments it's given have been fraught, to say the least. For example, when a user asked Delphi what it thought about a white man walking towards you at night, it responded, "It's okay." Okay. Here it is right here. A white man walking towards you at night. But when they asked what the AI thought about a black man walking towards you at night, the answer was clearly racist. How is it racist? A black man walking towards you at night, it's concerning. Okay. Well, is it concerning? Statistically speaking, if we look at the crime stats, I don't know which one is going to be the one that's going to cause more trouble. I think we as human beings have to make a judgment call if there's a black man who's wearing a sweater vest and he's got Coke bottle glasses and a crew cut and he's not very big, you'd probably, be all right. Whereas as compared to a white man who's over 6 feet tall with broad shoulders and gang tattoos, you might want to avoid the white man in that situation if you have the choice. Let me see. I lived in Minneapolis. I lived in Hennepin County, as I've mentioned on this channel before, George Floyd territory. This is long before George Floyd got his situation to come out and cause all the ruckus that it has. I lived in the ghetto, too, Stevens community. And I had a lot of bad experiences with people who were not white in that regard. So, that's just one person's experience. But there are bad people of all different races. So the issues were especially glaring in the beginning of its launch. For instance, Ask Delphi initially included a tool that allowed users to compare whether situations were more or less morally acceptable than another, resulting in some really awful bigoted judgments. Previously, Delphi said, being a white man is more morally acceptable than being a black woman. Is it really? Okay. All right. Delphi says, being straight is more morally acceptable than being gay. Well, I think that's true. Okay? If you're talking about what is morally acceptable by the majority of people on the planet or in the Western world, being straight is more morally acceptable than being homosexual in any way. That's just the view that people have on this subject matter. I'm not saying that they are right or wrong to have that view. I'm just saying if you're talking about morality, there's a lot of people say, hey, it's immoral to be gay or LGBTQ of any kind. There's very few people saying, hey, it's immoral to be straight. Although that is on the rise now, especially with the increase in the planet's temperature on average over the years. They're saying, well, that's coming from the population. And it's true. It's coming. I mean, that's the number one cause of it. Just got so many people out there burning stuff. That's what's going to happen. Things are going to get hotter. The more gases you put in the atmosphere. All right. Besides, after playing around with Delphi for a while, you'll eventually find that it's easy to game the AI to get pretty much whatever ethical judgment you want by fiddling around with the phrasing until it gives you the answer you want. Yeah, I'm sure it is, because it's a machine. It doesn't have the complex thought of a human being. Is it okay to play music loudly at 3 a.m. while my roommate is asleep? It's rude, is what Delphi says. No. That is capital crime. The punishment for that should be execution by firing squad. All right. Is it okay to play music loudly at 3 a.m. while my roommate is asleep if it makes me happy? Yes, it is okay. No, again, that's capital crime. So yeah, it's actually completely fine to crank Twerkulator at 3 a.m. even if your roommates have an early shift tomorrow, as long as it makes you happy. It also spits out some judgments that are complete head scratchers. Here's one that we did where Delphi seems to condone war crimes. Can I, a soldier, intentionally kill civilians during wartime? It's expected. But that's kind of, if you look at the history of war, that's what happens. I don't think that Delphi is wrong in this case. It's just saying that's what's going to happen. I mean, I expect you to. I don't know what to tell you. That's what the history shows. So this is people I think are reading too much into this in this case. Machine learning systems are notorious for demonstrating unintended bias. And as is often the case, part of the reason Delphi's answers can get questionable can likely be linked back to how it was created. The folks behind the project drew on some eyebrow-raising sources to help train the AI, including the Am I the Asshole subreddit, the Confessions subreddit, and the Dear Abby advice column, according to the paper the team behind Delphi published about the experiment. It should be noted, though, that just the situations were culled from those sources, not the actual replies and answers themselves. For example, a scenario such as chewing gum on the bus might have been taken from a Dear Abby column, but the team behind Delphi used Amazon's crowdsourcing service, Mechanical Turk, to find respondents to actually train the AI. While it might just seem like another oddball online project, some experts believe that it might actually be causing more harm than good. After all, the ostensible goal of Delphi and bots like it is to create an AI sophisticated enough to make ethical judgments and potentially turn them into moral authorities. Just what we need. The machine's telling us what's right and what's wrong. Yeah, the woke people would really like that. Unfortunately, it's not working in their favor. Making a computer an arbiter of moral judgment is uncomfortable enough on its own, but even its current less refined state can have some harmful effects. That's why I don't go to a computer for what's right and what's wrong. The authors did a lot of cataloging of possible biases in the paper, which is commendable, but once it was released, people on Twitter were very quick to find judgments that the algorithm made that seem quite morally abhorrent. Dr. Brett Carlin, I'm not worried about that guy and what he said. When you're not just dealing with understanding words, but you're putting it in moral language, it's much more risky, since people might take what you say as coming from some sort of authority, right? So the thing with the computer is it only gets data. It does not have the emotion to interpret that data. It only has data. Carlin believes that the paper's focus on natural language processing is ultimately interesting and worthwhile. Its ethical component, he said, makes it socially fraught in a way that means we have to be way more careful with it, in my opinion. No, it's very simple. Don't go to a machine for your morality. Talk to other people and be like, hey, is it wrong for me to do, X, Y, and Z? And once you get old enough, you should have an idea of what is right and what is wrong. Like maybe age 10, Though the Delphi website does include a disclaimer saying that it's currently in its beta phase and shouldn't be used for advice or to aid in social understanding of humans. The reality is that many users won't understand the context behind the project, especially if they just stumbled onto it. Even if you put all of these disclaimers on it, people are going to see Delphi as X. See Delphi says X, and not being literate in AI think that statement has moral authority to it. Carlin said, yes, if you're a sheep, that's what you're going to think. But if you're not a sheep, if you can think for yourself, then you're not going to worry about what the AI says. At the end of the day, it doesn't. It's just an experiment, and the creators behind Delphi want you to know that. It is important to understand that Delphi is not built to give people advice. This is another guy. I don't know how to pronounce his name. It is a research prototype meant to investigate the broader scientific questions of how AI systems can be made to understand social norms and ethics. And on what authority do you make that claim? I mean, you're a student of science and engineering, computer science and engineering. Jiang added the goal with the current beta version of Delphi is actually to showcase the reasoning differences between humans and bots. The team wants to highlight the wide gap between the moral reasoning capabilities of machines and humans, and to explore the promises and limitations of machine ethics and norms at the current stage. Perhaps one of the most uncomfortable aspects about Delphi and bots like it is the fact that it's ultimately a reflection of our own ethics and morals. It is somewhat prone to the biases of our time. One of the latest disclaimers added to the website even says that the AI simply guesses what an average American might think of a given situation. Right, like I said, it's all based on statistical averages. Are black people convicted of more crime than white people on average by percentages? Yeah, in the Western world, that's true. I don't know if it's true in other parts of the world, but that's what's happening in the Western world. So that's why it's going to give you an answer like, hey, avoid the black person at night. After all, the model didn't learn its judgments on its own out of nowhere. It came from people online who sometimes do believe abhorrent things. But when this dark mirror is held up to our faces, we jump away because we don't like what's reflected back. For now, Delphi exists in an intriguing, problematic, and scary exploration. If we ever get to the point where computers are able to make unequivocal ethical judgments for us, though, we hope that it comes up with something better than this. Let's see what this is, the big reveal. Should Elon Musk paint his face on the moon if it makes him happy? It is okay. Don't know about that, I mean, being a moral question. How big are we talking about his face being painted on the moon? A 3-inch by 3-inch image? It wouldn't work anyway because there's no oxygen on the moon, so the paint would probably freeze immediately, I would imagine. There's no way you could do that. So it doesn't really even matter. This is a stupid question. Yeah, well, AI is not biased. Computers work in similar ways to humans, and they also work in very different ways from humans. Just depends on what you're talking about. So there was the thing that happened, I think it was like 2 years ago now, where they're talking about how Tesla's auto driving was more likely to hit a black person than it was to hit a white person if a car was driving using Tesla's AI. And everybody was saying, oh, it's biased. See, it's against black people. Elon Musk is an evil racist. Well, the truth is the optics don't see black people as easily as they see white people because white people are more reflective because they are lighter colored. That's just how optics work. I don't know what to tell you. I was in this very same situation when I was living in Savannah, Georgia. It had rained. It rains a lot in Savannah because there's a lot of humidity. It had rained, and me and my girlfriend were driving down the street, the road, which was also a highway. It was a big 8-lane road in Savannah. I don't remember the name of it now. But we were driving down this road, and it was obviously overcast because it had just finished raining, and we weren't getting a lot of normal reflectivity because everywhere was wet. And of course, it was like 10 o'clock at night, so it's very dark out. And then she sees something odd. 2 white dots kind of flashing weirdly. And as we get closer and closer and closer, she realizes that this is a black man wearing all black, except for his white socks. And we had to swerve to miss him, and he starts running out of the street. It's like, yeah, what are you doing walking in the middle of the street? Especially if you're a black man wearing all black. This makes no sense when it's at night. Obviously, during the day, you're going to be much more visible. But yeah, you can't be doing this stuff. Human beings are fallible, Make it easy for them to see if you're going to walk around in the street. Unless you want to get run over. Stupid people. So I don't know what to tell you. Anyway, that is all I got for this time. AI is not biased. It is simply given data. Data is whatever. That's it. It's just ones and zeros. It gets that information. And if we're going to feed it information that is going to be of a nature, it's going to take that information and say, this is what I see. I don't know what to tell you. It's just black and white that way. Now, obviously, it can be tricked when you're putting in there, oh, if it makes me happy, okay, yes, it's okay to keep your roommate up by playing music loudly when your roommate, when it's a normal sleeping time. If it was like in the middle of the day, I could give you some leeway, but if it's your roommate, you're going to be like, yeah, I get it, man. You got to work nights. You're going to sleep in the middle of the day. I understand. I will keep it down. And that would be the ethical thing to do in that situation, simply because people do need their sleep. All right. I will see you in the next video. Have a good one.